Welcome back to Free Media. I'm Amber Duke.
And I'm Robby Soave. Oh no, President Trump says the federal government is buying a stake in Intel, the multinational technology company. This move raised questions from many libertarians and conservatives, with Senator Rand Paul pointing out, maybe this meets the definition of socialism. He writes on X, if socialism is government owning the means of production, wouldn't the government owning part of Intel be a step toward socialism? Terrible idea.
But Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says that this is just the beginning, and the administration will be looking at additional defense-related acquisitions.
What about defense companies, though, Secretary? Why shouldn't the U.S. government say, you know what, we use Palantir services, we would like a piece of Palantir. We use Boeing services, we would like a piece of Boeing. There are a lot of businesses that do business with the U.S. government that benefit by doing business with the U.S. government. I guess the question is, where's the line?
There's a monstrous discussion about defense. I mean, Lockheed Martin makes 97% of their revenue from the U.S. government. They are basically an arm of the U.S. government. They make exquisite munitions. I mean, amazing things that can knock a missile out of the air when it's coming towards you. But what's the economics of that? I'm going to leave that to my Secretary of Defense and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. These guys are on it and they're thinking about it. But I tell you what, there's a lot of talking that needs to be had about how do we finance our munitions acquisitions. I think a lot of that is talking. And now you have the right people in the jobs and Donald Trump at the head thinking about what is the right way to do it. I tell you, the way it has been done has been a giveaway.
Howard, then go get a job at Lockheed Martin already. Jesus. I mean, this is the one problem about having business people running government, which is generally a good thing, I think, to make government more efficient like a business, is then they start they start treating the government like a firm and start thinking, what should we acquire? How would we grow the business? But we're actually not trying to grow the government. We're trying to shrink it. Not good. I hate that we blew right through the slippery slope there. It was not like, this is a one-time thing for some kind of national security justification, and we would not generally do this as a principle. He's saying, yeah, we're going to look at this all over the place. I mean, with the Lockheed Martin example, if the government owns part of the company or nationalizes the company, is what that sounded like, then there's like an incentive to have more war, to give the company what's part of the government. You get into some, you don't have to practice stretches of the imagination to get to very unfortunate territory. So what am I to make of this, my friend?
Oh, gosh. I am confused. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, because at first I was like, national security, I get it. I understand the justification. But then you think, well, okay, would it be within our national security justification to acquire 3M because they make masks for pandemics? Where do you draw the line? There really isn't one, despite Howard Lutnick's protestations. But I will say, in terms of, the incentive would just be to have more war if we purchase Boeing and Lockheed Martin. That already kind of exists, right? We call it the military-industrial complex for a reason, and it's because these people move in and out of government and into contracting jobs, and they trade favors in exchange for these huge, massive contracts for them to develop weapons that get purchased by the federal government. So, we're already at that
It's very
place,
bad. There's a rotating door, but at least there's a door. This is just taking the door off the hinges.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The Intel thing.
I don't like this, and I think one of the only benefits you have from a privatized version of a military-industrial complex or from chip makers is that you reduce government inefficiency, you have less bureaucracy, and you incentivize innovation.
Right.
The government's bad at all three of those things.
Right. And in the case of Intel, the justification here is sort of that they gave Intel basically massive corporate welfare in the form of the CHIPS Act.
Right.
And they didn't build. My understanding is they have not delivered on the promises in order
Which, to be fair, was Biden's fault because he added all those DEI
because there was all that
initiatives.
stuff in there. No, they're right. They made it impossible to actually operate, but that cuts both ways a little bit because I'm sure the company was looking at the fine print and still saying, oh yeah, we can give us the money. We can deliver this. When you do corporate welfare and when you do this kind of policy, you open yourself up to, okay, whether it's Intel or Pfizer or who else, you give them a lot of money. Are they actually going to deliver on the thing you want in the public's aim? on one hand, I guess I understand them wanting to take a more direct hand if they think they didn't get what they paid for, but that's just an argument against generally having the government subsidize individual firms or put their hands on the scale. I want Intel to compete against other companies. It would be better if Lockheed Martin had more competitors, not fewer. It would be better if all of these firms were competing to offer the government the best service, so then the government could get a discounted rate for whatever it is, defense, technology, whatever it is. And obviously we're a long way from that being the case with all the regulation and all the revolving door type stuff. But this just seems to me to be straightforwardly moving the ball in the wrong direction down the field to
Yeah, I'm a little less against the government subsidy portion because there is a national security interest in having certain things made in the United States. So the concern would be if you have a company like Intel that's not able to afford hiring American workers who cost more, and we have to buy our chips from TSMC.
Don't worry, I'm bringing in a lot more
right?
workers to take care of that, Amber. It's fine.
Blood pressure rising. But I think that's a reasonable justification. But then the question is more of okay, well, do you write the subsidy in such a way that they have to meet conditions that actually make sense instead of you have to hire a certain number of people from India or a certain number of black people to make your chips, or are we just going to make sure that we're getting this done and you have to hire American workers, but let's not put in all of these DEI, ESG requirements in the meantime, and also let's reevaluate the subsidies and the contracts every so often to make sure that the government is getting the best price for their services instead of oh, well, we're locked in for 50 years and this company is just it.
And then the company says, oh, yeah, we were really going to build a chips plant there, but, the red-spotted squirrel is native to this area, so we can't.
Yeah.
That's on you, not us.
And you can only use wind power because we all know coal is dirty.
Yeah.
And
we already spent the money. Sorry. Oh, well. Not good. More free media right after this.